Admiral Zekthara's mandibles clicked nervously as she reviewed the intelligence reports for the third time that cycle. The holographic display floating before her command chair showed a system that should have been easy prey, a young species, called humans inhabiting the third planet of an unremarkable yellow star. The hegemony had been expanding across this spiral arm of the galaxy for over 2 millennia, absorbing primitive civilizations with methodical efficiency. Their scouts had identified humanity as typical pre-spaceflight primitives, divided into warring nation-states, barely capable of reaching their own moon, possessing nuclear weapons but lacking the wisdom to avoid using them on themselves. It should have been routine. Send the scout fleet, she had ordered 3 months ago. Standard intimidation protocol. Once they surrender, we'll begin integration proceedings. The scout fleet consisted of 12 vessels, more than sufficient to cow any primitive species into submission. The ships were equipped with gravity disruptors, plasma cannons, and most importantly, translation matrices to deliver the hegemony's standard ultimatum in the natives' crude languages. But the scout fleet had never returned. "Ma'am," her communications officer, a reptilian Kethvar, hissed from his station. "We're receiving a transmission from the human system. It's addressed to you personally." Zekthara's secondary arms twitched, a sign of unease among her species. How could these primitives know her identity? She had never even visited their system. "Display it." The hologram shifted, and suddenly a human face appeared before her. Male, middle-aged by their standards, with graying hair and calm brown eyes. He wore what appeared to be a simple military uniform. No ornate decorations or displays of technological superiority. Behind him, she could see what looked like a primitive command center, screens showing various star charts and tactical displays. "Greetings, Admiral Zekthara of the Galactic Hegemony," the human said in perfect hegemonic standard. "My name is Admiral Marcus Chen, representing the United Earth Defense Command. I believe you're wondering about the fate of your scout fleet." The bridge fell silent. Several of her officers exchanged glances. How did these primitives learn their language so quickly? The human continued, his voice steady and matter-of-fact. "Your ships arrived in our system 3 months ago and immediately began scanning our planets and infrastructure. They transmitted what I assume was meant to be an ultimatum, though they seemed surprised when we responded in their own language." Admiral Chen paused, seemingly organizing his thoughts. "You see, Admiral, your species made several critical assumptions about humanity. First, you assumed we were isolated and primitive. Second, you assumed we were divided and weak. Third, and most importantly, you assumed we would be afraid." Behind Chen, another human approached, a younger woman in a different uniform. She whispered something in his ear, and he nodded. "Your scout fleet demanded our immediate surrender and threatened orbital bombardment if we refused. They gave us 72 hours to comply." Chen's expression remained calm, but something shifted in his eyes. "We gave them 24 hours to leave." Zekthara's claws extended involuntarily. "What happened to my ships?" "Nothing initially. Your captain, Veltar, I believe, chose to ignore our counter-ultimatum. So we demonstrated something your intelligence gathering failed to discover." The human gestured to someone off-screen. "Show her the moon." The transmission's perspective shifted, displaying what appeared to be a view of space. In the distance, a large celestial body, presumably Earth's natural satellite, hung against the star field. But something was wrong with it. Where there should have been a spherical moon, there was instead a perfect geometric pattern of debris arranged in concentric rings. 48 hours ago, that was Luna, our moon, Chen explained. We deconstructed it using gravity manipulation technology and reformed it into a defensive grid. Each piece is equipped with kinetic accelerators and fusion reactors. The entire array can target any point within a light minute of Earth with pinpoint accuracy. The bridge crew began chittering among themselves in various languages. Zekthara raised a primary arm for silence. Chen continued, Your scout fleet witnessed this demonstration and immediately attempted to leave our system. We allowed this, but not before delivering our message. What message? Zekthara found herself asking. The same message we're delivering to you now, Admiral. Humanity appreciates your interest in our species, but we must respectfully decline your invitation to join your hegemony. We've learned much about your government structure from your scout ship's databases, and frankly, we're not impressed. The human's expression hardened slightly. You've spent 2 millennia conquering primitive species and calling it integration. You've never encountered a civilization that could fight back effectively. That ends now. Furthermore, Chen continued, we've been monitoring your communications networks, yes, all of them, for the past 6 months. We know about your absorption protocols and your plans for the 17 other developing species in this sector. Consider those plans cancelled. Zekthara's throat sacs inflated with indignation. You dare threaten the hegemony? We command over 10,000 worlds. And we command the space between them, Chen replied calmly. Our long-range sensors show you have 47 battle fleets scattered across this spiral arm. Impressive numbers, Admiral, but they all depend on your hyperlane network for faster-than-light travel. The human smiled, an expression that somehow seemed far more threatening than any snarl or battle cry from other species. 3 hours ago, we collapsed the primary hyperlane junctions in 15 key systems. Your battle fleets are now isolated, unable to reach each other or return to your core worlds without conventional travel, a journey that will take them decades. The bridge fell into stunned silence. The hyperlane network was ancient, constructed by a long-dead civilization and thought to be indestructible. This is impossible, Zekthara whispered. Human civilization is barely 12,000 years old, Admiral, but we've been fighting each other for most of that time. We've developed some very creative approaches to warfare, logistics, and problem-solving. When you've spent millennia perfecting the art of killing your own species, dealing with external threats becomes almost trivial. Chen gestured to the tactical display behind him. Your scout fleet has been returned to your outer territories, unharmed, along with complete technical specifications for the devices we use to alter the hyperlane network. Your scientists are welcome to study them, though I doubt they'll be able to replicate the technology for several centuries. The human leaned forward slightly. Here's what's going to happen, Admiral. The hegemony will cease all expansion activities in this sector immediately. Your occupied worlds will be given the choice to remain under your rule or declare independence, and humanity will guarantee their right to choose freely. Any attempt to retaliate against these worlds or against Earth will result in the permanent closure of your remaining hyperlane access. Zekthara realized her breathing had become rapid and shallow. In less than an hour, these primitives had effectively crippled the greatest military force the galaxy had ever known. You wanted to send us a message about the futility of resistance, Chen concluded. Instead, you've received one about the futility of aggression. We suggest you take some time to consider it carefully. The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in absolute silence. After several long moments, Zekthara's communications officer spoke hesitantly. Ma'am, orders? She stared at the now empty holographic display, trying to process what had just occurred. The hegemony had just encountered something unprecedented in their long history, a species that was genuinely more advanced, more dangerous, and more strategically sophisticated than they were. And that species had chosen to deliver a diplomatic message rather than simply destroy them. Send word to the High Council, she finally said. Tell them we need to discuss new diplomatic protocols. It seems the galaxy has just become a much more interesting place. As her staff rushed to carry out her orders, Admiral Zekthara found herself wondering what other assumptions the hegemony might have made about the species they'd encountered over the millennia, and more importantly, what other surprises might be waiting in the seemingly empty spaces between the stars.